Welcome back to DataShark Academy. Let's see what we are doing in this part of the course. We are developing a Spark streaming application and integrating it with the Kafka cluster. In other words, this Spark application will be our custom consumer, which is written using Scala code, and it will run on the Spark engine. On the other hand, Kafka will be our data producer for this application, and Spark will aggregate the data received from the Kafka and provide us the word counts for each occurrence of a word. So let's take a look at the code now. So this is our Spark streaming application. Inside this application, we have defined an object with the name as Kafka Spark Streaming. Next, we have defined a main method in it. This will be the entry point for our application. The first thing we need to do here is to create a Spark session object so we can receive the data from a source and create data frame out of it. Spark session is also the entry point for your application on the Spark cluster. Now inside this session we have named our application as Kafka Spark Streaming. So if you go to Spark UI, you will see this application named as Kafka Spark Streaming. Okay. Once we have this Spark session object created, next we can set it up the read stream on it, meaning that will define where to read the data from. In this case, we are reading the data from a Kafka source. Okay, that's why the format is defined as Kafka. Next, we have two properties which are Kafka properties that need to be defined for this read stream. The first property is the bootstrap server. Remember, in our previous exercise, when we were defining a console consumer, then as part of the command, you were also specifying the bootstrap server and the topic name. So here's the bootstrap server that we are defining, and the topic name is this one, Spark Streaming. And instead of saying topic, we'll say subscribe here. All right. Next, we are converting this data frame into a stream of words, and that's what's done here. Finally, we are aggregating each word as a key and the number of occurrences of the word as its count. Okay. Finally, we are writing this output to the console, and the output mode will be complete, meaning that we want to see the entire result from all the batches. And we are triggering this process every 10 seconds. Okay. And in the end, we are waiting for the application to be finished by the user. All right. So now we have the jar built up. We can run it on our cluster. Before we run it on the cluster, we need to make sure that the Zookeeper and Kafka servers are up and running. So let's switch to the Ambari dashboard and make sure the Zookeeper is up and running. Here it's in the started mode, so this is good. Let's click on Kafka. So the Kafka is not running as of now, so let's start it. So Kafka is not running as of now, so let us start this by clicking on Service Actions and Start. Confirm Start. Alright, so Kafka is started now, and we can switch back to the terminal. So next, we need to copy the jar file from our local machine into the sandbox. So if you are using MobiXterm, you can click on this up arrow, go to the location, alright, so we have our jar uploaded here. Next we need to create a topic, okay, and we can do that by going to the location where Kafka is installed. Kafka topics, okay, so create. Next is Zookeeper, topic name, Spark streaming. Okay, and we also need to define replication factor and partitions. Let's keep one partition for now. So I already have the topic created on my end, but if you have not done it already, do it. Next, we need to start the producer. And the topic. All right. So this is our producer that is running on the sandbox, and it's sending data to this topic called Spark streaming. Enter. All right. So our producer is running now. Now, before we start pushing some data, let's start our Spark application. So I'm switching the tab here. So here I have the Kafka streaming application jar, and I'm in the same directory. So since this is a Spark application, we need to run it using Spark Submit, and we need to define a package. Then the class name. So our class was DataShark Academy.Kafka Spark streaming. All right. And finally, we need to give our jar file name, which is Kafka Spark streaming. All right. Enter. So if you run it for the first time, it will try to download some dependencies from that package. And within few seconds, it should be up and running and start reading data from the Kafka topic. All right, so now our Spark application is running and it's reading data. There are so many messages here. Let's go back to the terminal where producer is running. Let's enter some data here. Okay, so let's say Kafka is great, Spark is great. Okay, Spark is awesome, Kafka is awesome. Now I'm in the Spark window. Let's see it picks up those messages from the topic. So if I scroll up here, you can see that our Spark application has got those values from the topic, and it has also aggregated them here. Okay, and it's running, so it will keep aggregating the data. So now it's running batch 2. So if I scroll down, I should see another aggregation table. There you go. All right. So now it's reading the values, right? Now let's give some more data here. So again, let's type a word again, Kafka. Kafka Spark. Let's see what happens here. So it's still reading. There you go. So now you see the values have changed here. Now we have Kafka word occurred 3 times, small Kafka is 1, is 4 times. So it's working as we expected. It is generating the aggregation of the words which are coming in the message. So here you go. You have created an application which is integrating Spark with Kafka. And now your Kafka is producing some results, and your Spark application is reading those data from the topic and aggregating the results and sending it back to you. So this is the kind of applications that you will be creating at your job. So it's better to understand how you can integrate one system with another system and make both of them work together. And this is exactly what you have learned in this chapter. I hope you like this lesson and I want you to try this out on your end. If you have any questions, let me know.